Welcome back to another week of our European Power Rankings, a show where we look at European football and take the top 10 players based on their last 5 performances. So this week, will Paul Pogba still be at number 1? Will there be a goalkeeper in the top 10? And who are the winners and losers of the week? That's what we're going to hear in the next few minutes, so let's jump into it. Okay, first up to our winners and losers of the week, and we will start with the losers. It's 2 players who have dropped out of the top 10, and it's Cristiano Ronaldo and Nicolas Pepe of Lille. Both of them were in the top 10 last week after some good performances. However, some pretty poor performances over the weekend, even though both of their teams did win, have meant that they've just dropped out of the top 10. Of course, they're still in pretty decent form overall, but not as good as 10 other players in Europe, obviously. And next up to our winners of the week, and first up, it's Mo Salah. 2 weeks ago, he was in 10th. Last week, he was in 9th, and now he's even higher in the table. Where exactly? Well, you have to stick around to find out, but his resurgence continues, and he's been in some brilliant form. Our other winner of the week is Frenkie de Jong. Now, this isn't necessarily anything to do with his on-pitch form, it's just that he's got a really good move to Barcelona in the summer, so congrats to him, winner of the week. But before we go any further, let me just give you a recap of last week's table. Marcus Rashford was in at number 10, Mohamed Salah, as just mentioned, in at number 9. Atletico's Antoine Griezmann moved down a few, was sitting in number 8, with Cristiano Ronaldo and Luis Suarez making up the next few spots. In at number 5 was French wonderkid Kylian Mbappe. David De Gea's fantastic form and brilliant performance against Spurs saw him in at number 4. As just mentioned, Nicolas Pepe was actually in 3rd, and has now dropped out altogether. Lionel Messi was in 2nd position, the runner-up last week after being 1st for a number of weeks, and Paul Pogba retained his position at the top of the table. So let's get on with this week's Power Rankings, and as we go through, I'll give out a few pointers and a few explanations as to how things work, just so you try not to get too confused. The reason I say this is because now every European league is back. That means the return of the Bundesliga players, the Ligue 1 players, the Dutch players, as well as, of course, the English, Italian players. Everybody is back in league action, meaning they've all got a chance to be in the top 10. This also means that we are taking into account their last 5 games, of which some of them will be from before Christmas, like with our number 10 position, which is Joshua Kimmich. Now, Bayern Munich have obviously only played 1 game after the winter break, a 3-1 victory at Hoffenheim. However, Kimmich's performances in that game and the 4 before the break have been unbelievable. He's been part of the Bayern Munich team, which has kept 3 clean sheets in the last 4, conceding only 1 goal. He's also managed to get 2 assists and a goal, and to be honest, he's one of the best right backs in Europe at the moment, so he deservedly takes his place in at number 10 for the first time this season. Moving forward a bit and to number 9, where it's actually one of the most unlikely appearances on paper because he hasn't actually scored a goal in the last 5 games. It's Paulo Dybala. Now, for those of you who watched Juventus' victory over Kiev, you would have seen how unbelievable he was. He got 2 assists, a man of the match, and his all-round play was incredible. This is the kind of stuff which often goes unnoticed if you don't actually watch the games. As mentioned before, Dybala hasn't scored, but his recent form in the last few games has been phenomenal. Cristiano Ronaldo normally takes the headlines for sticking the ball in the back of the net, but when he's not, you can always count on Dybala to make something happen. It's no wonder he's been linked with big money moves to Manchester City and Real Madrid in the last few weeks. Moving up the table, and again, it's someone who's re-entered the list because the German Bundesliga wasn't playing, but his last 5 games have been fantastic. It's Robert Lewandowski. Over the weekend, as mentioned with Kimmich, Bayern Munich were back in action, and Lewandowski was back on the score sheet. That's 3 goals and assists for him in his last 5 games, and he looks to be hitting form at just the right time, with the Champions League returning just around the corner. And now into number 7, and it's another player who's back because his league is back, and it's Dusan Tadic from Ajax. Now, I know a few of you have said to me before, Matt, he's only playing in the Dutch league. However, he's still got to do the business. For example, if the likes of Mbappe and Cavani weren't in this list, even though they're playing the French league, he'd probably still have a go at me. So, as for Dusan Tadic, I have taken into account that he's playing in a little bit of a lesser league, and Ajax haven't won every game recently, but he still scored 7 goals and got an assist in the last 5 games. So, to be honest, he should probably even be placed higher. It also makes me wonder, why couldn't he have done this at Southampton as well? But I guess that's the whole point, is showing the difference in the quality of the league. In at number 6, and I know this is going to break a lot of hearts, it's Lionel Messi. Now, this is a chance where I get to explain to you just how the power ranking system works. Last week, Messi was, of course, number 2, but since then, he played only 26 minutes at the weekend, although he did come on and score, and he didn't even play in last night's defeat to Sevilla. This means that he obviously doesn't get a ranking, which means that the others can, get the chance to jump over him, he also falls down because his average falls because he doesn't get a score. In fact, he gets a 0. If you're wondering why I just completely forget that Messi hasn't been played against Sevilla and just keep his score, well, in that case, what if a player got 5 10 out of 10s in a row and then just quit football altogether? Technically, he'd stay at the top of the list forever, so obviously I can't just ignore the games that the players don't play. This means that Lionel Messi is in number 6 despite scoring in each of his last 5 appearances. However, for the team Barcelona, he's only played in 4 of the last 5 games, including 1 substitute appearance, but he did still score 4 goals. For those of you that are annoyed, let me know in the comment section down below. However, I can't really make it favourable to one player and not to another. The power rankings are fair, and this is what happens. For example, this is also evident as we move on to number 5. Messi scored at the weekend, didn't play in the cup, and moved from 2nd to 6th. Kylian Mbappe scored a hat-trick at the weekend, he didn't play in the cup either, and he stays in 5th position. That's just the way it works. He was fantastic over the weekend and has scored a hatful of goals recently for PSG, despite, as mentioned before, Dusan Tadic playing in the French league. No disrespect to them at all, but they were playing against bottom of the league Guingamp, where they smashed them 9-0. Moving into number 4, and it's Marcus Rashford, a guy who's been in and around the top 10 for the last few weeks, purely because of his fantastic goal-scoring form under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He grabbed another goal at the weekend, and so did Paul Pogba, who we'll be hearing from a little later on, and he's just been in all-round fantastic form. Again, as mentioned before, Solskjaer's given him the main striking role ahead of Lukaku, and it's paying dividends. And moving into number 3, it is Edinson Cavani, our second and last PSG player on this list. I know what you're thinking, where's Neymar? He did get 2 goals and a couple of assists at the weekend. However, he did hobble off and have not such an effective game against Strasbourg. This brought his rating down, and he also hasn't played in all of PSG's last 5 games. Before the cup game, he did have the game against Guingamp, as I've just mentioned, and he did have a part to play in the game before that. But the 2 before that, he didn't even feature due to injury. So he hasn't really got enough ratings behind him to make it into the top 10. But back to our number 3 and Edinson Cavani. It's 5 goals, it's 3 assists in the last 5 games for him. He's been on absolute fire and doesn't always get the credit he deserves ahead of his 2 more glamorous strike partners. So Cavani, congrats to you. You sit in 3rd position this week. In at number 2, and yet again another chance for me to explain to you guys just how the power rankings works. For example, our 2nd position is Mohamed Salah. I told you guys before he was our winner of the week after moving from 10th to 9th and now to 2nd, and it's because he's finding the back of the net again. 2 goals against Crystal Palace, albeit slightly bit lucky, have seen him climb the table. However, this is where I want to bring up the lack of defenders and or goalkeepers, because I know you guys ask about it every week. For example, Alisson. Fantastic signing for Liverpool. He's been brilliant this season. However, at the weekend, he conceded 3 goals. Yes, it's not completely his fault, and yes, the attackers from Liverpool get all the plaudits for scoring 4 goals, but the keeper's still let in 3 goals, meaning his rating is never going to be that high when you've conceded, especially at home, especially to Crystal Palace. So with Mohamed Salah in at number 2, who is this week's number 1? It's Paul Pogba, yet again, because the guy is on fire. As mentioned with Marcus Rashford, he's been brilliant since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in, and he bagged another goal at the weekend. His all-round play in midfield is just fantastic to watch, and even though I'm not a Manchester United fan, it's still pretty cool to see a fantastically talented player dominate games. Just not when it's against your own team. Of course, you guys can let me know who your top 3 would have been this week, who you would have had in the top 10 altogether, and who definitely shouldn't have been there. Let me know if you agree or disagree with the way that the power rankings work, and how would you guys change them? We'd love to hear your feedback. Whilst you're doing that, you can also smash the like button and click here to check out all of our other videos on OneFootball. But until next time, until next Thursday, with our next power rankings, I will see you guys later.